So the beginning of every year, Winston and I do something that we just labeled our dream date. So no, this is not like going to dinner in Italy, which would be a dream. This is where we literally go on a date and we dream about the future. And so we are kind of 6 months, I guess, into the year. And when I look back on that, I still see how important this is for us. And I know for so many couples, getting on the same page financially, having goals together, like working together, people want a framework. They're always asked the questions like, how do you do this? What does this look like? And so today we're going to kind of walk through what Winston and I do. I don't think there's a right or wrong on this. This is just kind of what we've adapted over the years. And I can tell you 6 months in how it's been going so far. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. Okay, so our dream dates looks like this. We do it every January, because that is the month, obviously, everyone's like doing their New Year's goals and all of it. And it's always a good time to look back and look at the year previous and then the year coming ahead and then the years that are forward. And January is also when we go and meet with our financial planner. So we are then able to have this idea of like, okay, this is kind of where we're at and here's our goals. So we usually go to breakfast or lunch because it's usually just easier. We bring a laptop, we bring paper, pen, like a couple of things. And we just kind of set up and we first look back at the previous year. So we use every dollar. I talk about it all the time on here, but we really do. We look at every dollar, and every dollar has some great charts that you're able to see the year in full. It's kind of like a pie chart. And so we're able to make sure that our giving from the year before, our goals around that were completed. We can look at our savings goals from the year before and see like, what did we actually put away? Because in every dollar, they have a savings line item. And so we put a savings goal in there every single month. And then when we transfer money from our checking account to our high yield, it comes up in every dollar. So when you track it, it takes away. So it like keeps all the numbers, which is fabulous. So thank you every dollar for that. But we can see, okay, this is how much money we saved and we put away. And it was that on goal with what we were planning month to month. And we look at that and then we just say, okay, was there anything that was like out of whack? You know, like if we look into the lifestyle category, that's the one that like, I feel like gets crazy with just like everything in life is in that category, it feels like. So we do kind of look through there and just say, okay, you know, were we on par with this or that? So that's one of the big things is, again, looking back and just making sure that the year before feels right. And then we look forward and we then try to predict looking ahead of like, okay, here is number one, how much do we think we're going to make? We usually start with income. And this is always kind of difficult and hard because we kind of have to guesstimate because the way Winston and I's income fluctuates so much. So it's whether his real estate stuff or like if I have a book launch or if I have a busy speaking season or all of that. Like, so we look to kind of say, okay, what is mapped out? What do we think it's going to be? Is it going to be, you know, similar to the year that we just had? Is there going to be more or less? And so we do try to guesstimate, here's how much we think we're going to make. And then we just really take a Excel sheet, honestly, and we just have every single month out. And we just go ahead and put in what we think we're going to make. And we usually, in this meeting, we're like, let's just figure out a total number. And then we just divide it into 12, even though it's not going to be perfect like that because every month fluctuates. But just for the ease of the exercise, that's what we do. And then we start with giving and we say, okay, out of 10% of what we make every month, that's what we'll be giving. And then we usually exceed that 10% and we change this every year. Like, what does this look like? What organizations do we want to give to? Are there ones that we've been giving to that we may stop and shift that money somewhere else? Do we want to give to individuals? Do we have fun goals around specific people that we have in mind that have situations that we're able to kind of bless throughout the year? So we really do dream about the giving stage, which we always say on the show, it's one of the most fun, but it really is. Like to have the ability to say, okay, what can we do with this money? It is. It's so exciting and so fun. So that's one big thing. The second is savings. And the savings is usually motivated. We don't really talk about retirement in this because that's like our 15% that just goes. But we just say, okay, what are we saving for? What are our big expenses? So travel's usually in there because I love to travel and that's what I love. It's one of my priorities in life. So we have that. Usually home projects are in there. So like we built a pool this past year. And so even for 2025, they were finishing it out. So I think our last check that we had to write was March or April of this year. So we had to buff out and make sure, okay, do we have all of that as we finish out the last payment of the pool for that project to be done. But we do look around and say, okay, what are things that need to be changed? And there's been some things in the past, which has been great to upgrade the home and do different things. But the pool has been the big one for probably the last 3 years, and that's finishing this year, which is crazy. Now, health insurance costs, are only moving one way, and that way isn't down. The wait times are longer, and it's harder than ever to get anything approved. And if you feel like the system is working against you, make sure to try Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a biblically based alternative to health insurance. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs, stay true to their values, and avoid getting tied down by miles of red tape. Y'all, there is a better way. CHM programs start as low as $98 a month. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budgets. That's chministries.org/budgets. We'll look at other big purchases like a car. Like, do we need to replace a car? When we had Charles, this was 5 years ago, we knew we needed a bigger car. And so like that was a big savings goal that year for us, to say, okay, we have to, save up for this van. But what's funny too is I remember buying that van 5 years ago, and I always said, this will be my 5-year car. Like I never really wanted a minivan. I think SUVs are just cuter, but I was like, it's fine. I'll do the van. And I actually have loved it. It's been great. But I always said it was my 5-year car. Like this is what we'll drive for 5 years. And when Charles goes to kindergarten, I will get a cool SUV. But for 5 years with babies and all the things, like we will just do the van. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here now. Yes, we are. He starts kindergarten. And does Winston want to stay for SUV? No. And do I? No, I don't. We're keeping the van. So maybe saving up for a cool SUV will come in the next 2 or 3 calendar years. But I really can't. I can't stomach an ice car because my kids, God love them, are disgusting. And so I can't imagine having a brand new SUV. So that's the truth of it all. And then we look and say, okay, here's our big expenses. And then we just kind of plan out, like, when are these trips? Is it spring break, fall break? Or we do something set? Like, I don't know. What are we doing travel-wise? When are the things with the pool happening? Anything else? And then Winston also, like, we're saving up too because he's flipping houses. So there's like a level of cash that we constantly want to have when that happens. So like, do we have that earmarked every month? So we just take an Excel sheet and kind of like map out calendar. Here's where everything's going. Trips and all the things. Goals for him, when he wants to buy something and when he thinks he'll sell it. And then we just make sure that our savings is lining up with all of it. So it sounds a little bit more complicated than it is. We've been doing this for a couple of years. But again, it's just kind of mapping out high level where we're going. Now, if you do want to have like really high investing goals, which is a great thing to have and you should, make sure to check out SmartVestor Pros because they can help you when it comes to long-term savings like investing. Okay, so I'll update you on how we're doing, but this is kind of the mid-year check-in. So Winston and I usually this time of year are like looking back at what we did in January. And we're like, okay, is everything shaping up from income, giving, savings goals, like all the things, like is it all kind of happening? And so put it into your schedule. Like if this is something you want to start, make sure you do start. And it can be any time, right? You can do this in any month is the plan. Usually calendar years are easier, but whatever you want. And then also make sure that you are doing a mid check-in because this is also important to make sure you are on track. So we finished up the pool and the last check was due, I think it was the end of March, early April. So we did that. We're still saving throughout the year for these house flips that Winston's doing. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now, which is the middle of the year, which is crazy. And then honestly, after this, come 2026, like we're already kind of starting to think through some things. If it's not a new car, I don't really know if we have like a big goal that we're shooting for. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, like we're all about goal setting and I get it. Love a goal. It's fine. It's great. You should have it. But also, if you have goals constantly and you're always doing something, sometimes you're just tired. Like mentally, you just kind of be like, hey, I just kind of want to be content for a little bit. And that's a little bit where we're starting to be, where we're like, I feel like we've done a lot. And there is kind of just this part, like everything else is still, happening, retirement savings and all of that. Like we're still being responsible with the things that we need to. But also if you don't have like this massive lofty goal every single year, like that's okay too. So just know that's kind of what's stirring in us. It's just like a year of enjoyment and contentment. Now, obviously, the key to all of this is having a place to plan your spending. And I mentioned every dollar before, but this is so good because it's month to month, you guys. It really gets into the details and the transactions of your life every single day, which is so helpful. But also, it's the big picture, which I love. Now, your income is your most powerful wealth building tool. And if you have multiple incomes, then you might be missing out on opportunities to maximize that. So check out 5 ways to maximize your money in a dual income household. I'll put a link down below if you're listening on podcast or click the link here. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.